Okay, let's unpack this. If you've ever dealt with hair loss or know someone who has, you understand that constant search for treatments that actually work.
Right. It's a really common concern.
So today we're doing a deep dive into Clascoterone. You might see it called Breezula. It's this novel topical treatment for androgenetic alopecia.
Yeah, that's just common pattern hair loss.
And our mission here is really to figure out how it works and if it can give you those significant results people are looking for.
Exactly. And what's fascinating, I think, is that this isn't just like a small improvement on what we already have.
Mm-hmm.
It's aiming to be a fundamentally new way to tackle the root cause of hair loss.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to explore how it does that, potentially without some of the, let's say, trade-offs of the older options.
Okay, so let's start there. Remind us quickly about androgenetic alopecia, AGA.
Sure. So basically, ADA is this progressive hair thinning. It's driven by a hormone, dihydrotestosterone, or DHT.
Right, DHT.
And this DHT, it binds to specific androgen receptors, or ARs, in your hair follicles. When that happens, the follicles start to miniaturize. They shrink.
Leading to thinner hair.
Exactly. Thinner, finer hair. And it's incredibly common. We're talking something like half of men over 40, maybe even up to 75% of women over 65. It affects a lot of people.
And for, decades, the main options have really just been two things, right? Oral finasteride and topical minoxidil.
That's pretty much it.
But they each come with their own challenges, don't they? What have been the main sort of frustrations?
Well, that's a key point. Finasteride, the pill, it works systemically. It reduces DHT levels everywhere in your body, sometimes quite a bit, like up to 70%.
Wow.
Which can be effective, yeah, but because it's systemic, it can sometimes cause side effects. Things like decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, stuff people worry about.
Okay.
Minoxidil, the topical stuff, it helps stimulate growth, but it's not hormonal. It doesn't actually fix the underlying DHT problem.
Right. It doesn't stop the cause.
Exactly. So this raises a big question for you, the listener. Can we actually target the hormones effectively, but without taking on those body-wide risks?
Okay, and this is where Clascoterone comes in and where it gets really interesting, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's described as a first-in-class topical androgen receptor inhibitor. So like a local, targeted, almost like a demand-side blocker.
That's a great way to put it, a demand-side intervention. Unlike finasteride, which cuts down the supply of DHT everywhere, Clascoterone blocks the demand for DHT, but only right there at the hair follicle on your scalp. It physically gets in the way, binding to that androgen receptor so DHT can't bind and start the miniaturization. Yeah. And the really clever part is what they call the soft drug design. It does its job in the skin, locally, but if any gets into your bloodstream, it's very rapidly broken down into something inactive, cortex alone.
So it doesn't circulate and cause problems elsewhere.
Precisely. That's the key idea to avoiding those systemic side effects. It's kind of like precision medicine, but for your scalp.
And this isn't purely theoretical, right? This same basic mechanism, it's already used in an acne treatment, Winlevi.
That's right. It's FDA-approved for acne, using that same core idea. It offers a good proof of concept.
So how did that translate when they tested it for hair loss? What did the early data show?
Pretty promising, actually. The phase 2 data for AGA, specifically in men, looked quite good. It was a 12-month study, over 400 guys.
Okay.
And all the groups using active Clascoterone showed statistically significant increases in hair count and hair width compared to the placebo group.
And the placebo group?
They actually lost hair density over the year, which is what you'd expect with AGA. The best results were seen with a 7.5% concentration used twice a day. That group gained, on average, over 14 more hairs per square centimeter compared to placebo.
14 more. Okay. And thickness?
Yeah, a noticeable increase in hair width, too, a thickness change. So definite signs of improvement versus placebo.
And crucially, what about safety, especially those systemic hormonal effects?
Remarkably well, according to that phase 2 data. Local skin reactions, like redness or itching, were generally mild and pretty similar to the placebo group. And importantly, they didn't report systemic anti-androgenic effects. None of those body-wide hormonal issues seen with finasteride.
That's a big deal.
It is. And just to bring you right up to date, the company is now deep into phase 3 trials. They're called Scale P1 and Scale P2. Big studies, almost 1,500 male patients involved.
Okay.
They're testing a 5% solution this time, and we're expecting the main results, the top-line data, sometime in the second half of 2025. So not too far off now.
Now, even with this soft drug design, it is still a hormonal treatment applied to the skin, so I imagine people still wonder about any potential systemic absorption or effects, right?
That's a very fair question, and it's something researchers look at closely. There were some studies, maximal use studies, done for the acne version, Winlevi. In those, when people used a lot of it over a large area, a small percentage of patients showed some mild and, importantly, reversible suppression of the HPA axis.
The HPA axis, that's like the body's stress response system.
Exactly. Hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. But the key thing was it was asymptomatic. The patients didn't feel any different. Still, because the AGA treatment might use a higher concentration or at least cover a larger scalp area, that upcoming phase 3 safety data is going to be absolutely critical. Everyone will be watching that closely.
And this actually ties into a regulatory wrinkle, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It's quite interesting. While the US FDA approved Winlevi for acne, the European Medicines Agency, the EMA, recently recommended against approving it.
Oh, wow.
Their main concern cited was potential HPA axis suppression, especially thinking about use in adolescents for acne. So that definitely sets a pretty high safety bar for Breezula to clear, particularly in Europe.
Okay, so wrapping this up then, what's the big picture takeaway for you, the listener?
Well, I think Clascoterone represents a really different, a targeted approach to treating AGA. It holds the promise of giving you an effective hormonal treatment, hitting that DHT pathway, but potentially without the systemic side effects that make a lot of people hesitant about current options, like finasteride.
A new way to tackle the hormones locally.
Exactly. So if these big phase 3 trials deliver on both strong efficacy and a clean long-term safety profile, Breezula could really become a game changer, maybe a new bridge therapy in our toolkit.
Makes sense.
But, this also raises a final, maybe more forward-looking question for you to think about. We hear a lot about exciting things on the horizon, regenerative medicine, stem cells. If Breezula becomes established, how might it fit into that future landscape of even more advanced hair loss solutions? Where does it sit long term?
Interesting point to consider. We'll have to see how it plays out.